Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. Last week I shared with you our language arts curriculum for our relaxed homeschool for our kindergarten through third graders on Monday. I also refer to them as my littles. And then on Thursday I shared with you our curriculum-free approach to language arts for our 4th through 8th graders, or otherwise known as the middles. So today I'm going to share with you what we do with our high schoolers. So as a quick overview for the littles, we just use phonics or reading curriculum, and then we use copywork, and that's it. Actually, I had to think for a minute. That's it for our littles. For our middles, we only use notebooking and copywork. They are our only group of kids that we do not use any curriculum for language arts, because they strictly do the copywork and the notebooking. And if you notice, it's going to progressively, we progressively add more as they graduate to each new group. So we have copywork for littles, copywork and notebooking for middles, and then our high schoolers for our language arts, they continue on with the copywork. As you can see here, this is my daughter's. She'll be going into 10th grade. This is her copywork for the Shel Silverstein curriculum. And if you saw my last video where I showed what my 4th through 8th graders do, you'll see that she doesn't really decorate it as much as my other kids do. And that's okay, you know, because their copybooks are really, they're their books. But what I use copywork for is to give kids, even at this age, a good model for writing. It shows them correct punctuation and capitalization. It shows them proper spelling of words, and it really gives them a great idea on different styles of sentences. There are a lot of ways that you can actually create sentences, and when you see someone who is actually a really well-developed writer creating these pieces, it's nice to see all of the different ways that you can actually word something without doing the basic, you know, subject and predicate format all the time. So I do continue on with the copywork, and just as with my younger kids, with the copywork, if I notice that one of my high schoolers has missed something, the object of copywork is to copy it exactly as you see it. So if I see that they missed capitalization or punctuation, I will let them know in their copybook. Now, they also do continue to do notebooking. Now, I did say in the last video that I do not correct the notebooks because I really want kids to be able to get used to writing, to get comfortable with writing, with expressing themselves. As they get to the high school level, I will begin to occasionally point out something in a notebooking page that they may have missed. I don't go overboard with it. For example, if I see that maybe they missed 1 or 2 things, then I will not say anything, because again, they're getting that reinforcement with their copywork, so they're getting corrected when they need to with that. But if I do see a notebooking page where they have consistently forgotten to capitalize, or they have missed every single comma, then yes, at this point I will begin to point out with them what they have gotten wrong in this. I don't like to say wrong, but yeah, if they got it wrong, then I will correct them. But again, I don't go overboard. I just really do it when I see that they've done it quite a bit. Now, as for curriculum, we do use a curriculum for our high schoolers for grammar. Now, I did point out that we don't really do much grammar. Well, we don't do any grammar at all for our littles. Our middles do it just basically in with their unit studies. I'll throw some things in every now and then, and we used to add Mad Libs and those sorts of things. But as your kids get into high school, especially if they plan on attending college, it is important that they do have a handle on grammar, so that when they go on to their college level English classes, they know what their professor is talking about. I will say that practically speaking, most of the things that your kids learn in high school grammar, not so much how things are written, but knowing what they're called. Like, you have to know what a gerund is, or, you know, present perfect, or dangling participle, or, you know, any, or split infinitives, any of those. you don't technically need to know what those are called. You just need to know not to do them. So practically speaking, I think that I'll get into this in another video someday, but I think that they really do teach things in a way that doesn't help kids at all. But anyway, at any rate, I do teach it just because I feel that if they're going to high school, they need it. But what we use, and you'll see there's paint everywhere because my artsy kids like to get paint everywhere. So yeah, there is paint on here. I don't know how people have their textbooks for like years and they still look brand new, because we have ours for like 6 months and it looks like it's been through a war. I mean, we really use our books. But moving on, what we've really been liking is dailygrams. Now this takes 5 minutes a day, but it reinforces all of the grammar rules that kids usually use throughout school. Since we did not specifically address all of the grammar rules, a lot of times they understand the cusp of it because they've seen it modeled in their writing. But if I see that there's a concept in here that my kids haven't learned yet, you know, and I know a lot of people use this for review and then they use a different curriculum. We use this just for our curriculum because it's just as simple. If my kids say to me, Mom, I don't know what this is, I sit down and explain it to them. Because at this age, really, things do tend to click a little bit faster. So I'm just going to show you. Now, they are labeled, and it's day 1 through day 180. And there is a section they go through: capitalization, punctuation, phrases and clauses, parts of speech, and then sentence combining. And it's the same format every single day. See, I'll show you some more. So it's nice consistency, but it's really showing your kids what they're going to need to know. Now, in the past, we have also used, now I brought this out just to show you as an option, we have also used the Life of Fred language arts curriculum. And if you're familiar with the Life of Fred program, most people think of it for math. It's a literature-based program, and that's the format for language arts too. It's a literature-based language arts program. Now, what this is there will be a story. I'll show you. There's a story. It actually goes throughout all the Life of Fred books. And then at the end, oh, that's a timeout. That's not the end. Then at the end, if you see, there are just a few questions that your kids will answer. My daughter did start out using this, but it got to the point where at her age, she thought that the writing was kind of silly, kind of, I guess, juvenile. You know, some kids think they're cool and don't want to read things that they think are childish. So she was beginning to get a little bit annoyed with the storyline. I think it's cute, but if your kids love to read and really do like it, I think this is a great thing to do with your kids, because it doesn't just address language arts. You know, it involves a lot of different things, such as geography, and it'll put some science in here, and it's just a great culmination of all the subjects. So I really do like it. They're not long. There are only 4 books in the set, and you can use it one of 2 ways. You can either use one book for each year of high school, or you could, as the Life of Fred website suggests, you could actually do all 4 books each year of high school, because when you repeat it, it really helps it to solidify in your head. Now, I also do want to point out that for some reason on the Amazon website, this is listed as a middle school curriculum. However, I got this off of Polka Dot Publishing, which is the Life of Fred website, and that has it listed as a high school curriculum. Either way, I think you could probably use it with a middle schooler too, but I also will say that I myself took AP English when I was in high school, and there are a lot of things in this language arts curriculum that I never heard of. So it really is, it's a well-developed curriculum. So that is an option too. As for assigning research papers, term papers, those sorts of things, since my kids do so much writing in their notebooks, I will, in high school, I generally will assign something like that maybe once or twice a year. It is not something that I do all the time. And the reason is because they are writing all the time in their notebooks. For example, my daughter did ancient history last year. And she really, really got into the ancient Egyptians. And if you notice in here, as these kids work throughout these notebooks, They are researching this subject. This, to me, is a research project. They don't need to do an additional research paper every month or so when they've got this ongoing. And if you think about it, it is important, if your child is going on to college, it's important that they know APA formatting, and I forget what the other format that they use is, but it's important that they know all of the things for college. But I really, again, I'm practical, and practically speaking, when someone is out in the field, for example, my daughter does want to be an Egyptologist. So when an Egyptologist is out in the field and they are compiling a research notebook for themselves on what they've been finding, they're not worried about APA formatting. What they're worried about is getting the information down correctly. So to me, I really think that these notebooks are more valuable than those research papers are. Research papers look good on a report card, but in real life, the notebooking definitely has a more practical application. And that also goes for my son, who did an Animals of Pennsylvania notebook. He spent, we didn't do it right from the beginning of the year, but he spent several months notebooking about all of the different animals in our area because he does want to be a wildlife photographer. So as my son was writing all of the notebooking pages for the Animals of Pennsylvania, he was really learning and compiling an entire book of information for him to use at his disposal. And to me, again, that has far more value than writing a research paper. And yes, he will get a research paper assigned to him every now and then, but to me, it's not as important as the work that they're putting into these notebooks. So really, that is all that I do for our homeschooling high school language arts. Does that even sound right? I don't know, but that's how we homeschool language arts in our relaxed homeschool. If you have any questions, leave a comment and I will get back to you. Have a great day.